Kings, former WWF Pro Wrestling superstar, and this is Monte and the Pharaoh, the #1 ever radio podcast in the world.
Somebody say something about Tommy Wildfire Rich. Whew, I love my beer, but I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, to all you beer drinkers out there. Hey, when it comes down to some good wine, I like this good fucking wine right here. So ladies, gentlemen, y'all need to go down and get you some good fucking wine.
Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, where we're shooting out of our local areas at a late 10:30 at night program, but it's nothing like staying up late for this guy. Tony Atlas, you have returned, my friend. Thank you for joining us, man. How are you, Ben?
Everybody is sad because they have to look at my face tonight. This is a kisser that only a mother can love.
Tony, I got to tell you, man, seriously, how do you stay in such great shape, man? I just can't, you don't age. You do not age at all.
My mom told all of us kids, we used to come home and take our school clothes off and throw them in the floor. My mom said, y'all pick them clothes up and hang them up. She said, anything you don't want, just don't take care of it. You won't have it long. I can only buy clothes for you kids once a year and Christmas time. You bought clothes for us at the beginning of school, and we got some more clothes around Christmas time. So whatever you got had to last all year. So you have to learn how to take care of what you got. And when it comes to your physical health, you get one body. One body. Once that body is gone, you ain't getting no more. So you have to take care of what you got. If you got good arms, take care of them. Good legs, take care of them. And consistency is the key to anything. If you treat yourself the way you treat your car ain't gonna run. If you treat your house the way you treat yourself, then what's gonna happen? Your house is gonna fall down. So you have to take care of what you got. Your home, your country, your family, if you want to keep it. If you got a woman, you don't take care of her, you're going to lose that woman. If you got kids, you don't take care of them, you're going to lose that kid. There was a buddy of mine, he had this dog that he'd abused all the time. So we went to do construction. We went to do a roofing job for somebody, but the dog was in the truck. We came back, that dog was gone. So we looked around for that dog, couldn't find that dog. And we were pulling out, I just happened to turn my head and look at the side view mirror, and the dog was hiding behind the building, peeking at us leaving. The dog ran away. He was not taken care of properly. So the dog, he ran away. I don't know what happened to that dog. That dog, he never saw that dog again. Once that dog got a chance to get away from his butt, that dog was boogie, woogie, oogie. You know about the boogie, woogie, oogie?
Jimmy, that's why you got to go with the dogs instead of the cats, man.
Yeah.
By the way, Tony, it's been a long time since you've been back on the show. Do you know Jimmy moved to Florida?
Oh,
right?
Here we go. Come
and
on.
Jimmy has married the widowed wife of Wahoo McDaniel. Did you know that?
No. Congratulations. Good for him.
Thank you, T.
Good for him.
Appreciate that.
She's a good lady. I know that lady. Until I got a Wahoo picture that I promised her that I was going to give to her. I drew a picture of Wahoo McDaniel. Let me tell you.
Oh,
I'm gonna try to tell you a quick Wahoo McDaniel story. I was staying years ago. They used to have rooms at the YMCA. So in Charlotte, North Carolina, when wrestlers come in town, they would get a room at the YMCA while they would look for an apartment. It was just a room upstairs. It had you buy yourself a hot plate. The little portable refrigerator was in your room and everything. So one of the, I just had a brain fart. That ever happened to you? When you're thinking of something and all of a sudden it just
Happens every day, Tony.
But
Trust
anyway,
me.
Wahoo was going to pick me up from the YMCA. So I used to carry my I had a little Patrick Henry High School gym bag, and I had a pair of tennis shoes, and I didn't have wrestling gear. Somebody gave me a pair of trunks and everything. I didn't have wrestling gear. Wahoo said, "Hey kid, you're not putting that crap in my car." I said, "What crap?" He said, "Leave that here. Give it to the people at the front." I said, "What I want to wrestle?" He said, "Do what I say." So I take my little bag with my little Converse All-Star sneakers and my little trunks that Don Canuta gave me, and I put them up. He said, "That's your bag there, kid." He gave me an official. What was it? He played for Miami Dolphin bag. He had a Miami Dolphin ceiling on the side. Inside was a pair of wrestling boots and 2 pairs of wrestling outfit with the jacket. Wahoo bought that for me.
Tony,
Wow.
how did you feel getting that sort of love from a veteran? How did that make you feel as a young guy coming up?
Well, see, back in the day, if you show the old timer respect, they would return the favor. And before I became a butthole, I was a pretty decent guy. So I was so happy to be able to get into professional wrestling, travel, make money, and help my family, that I was a very humble type of individual where over the years that changed, unfortunately. And I was always very respectable and listened and did what I was told. I was not a problem. But I became a problem later, but that was my own doing, not theirs. So Wahoo liked me, George Scott liked me, Sandy Scott liked me. Blackjack Mulligan told me with Barry Winterfall, said, "Kid, if there's anything I can do to help you in this business, you let me know." So I have said this 1,000 times. My success in life, I owe to 1,000 people. My success. My failure in life, I owe only to one person, and that's me. Everything that ever went wrong in my life was caused totally by Tony Atlas and no one else. Do I have regret? No. The reason I don't have regret, because I went to the school of hard knocks, which means I learned everything the hard way. There's 2 ways of learning things. The first way of learning things is to listen and take good advice from those that care about you and want to help you. That's the easy way of learning. The hard way of learning is called experience. Like your mom tell you, "Son, don't touch that stove, it's hot." Well, that's an easy way of learning that the stove is hot. Tony Allen didn't learn that way. Tony had to touch that stove. It burnt my butt. Once I burnt my butt, I said, "Well, Mom was right."
Wait a minute. This is that. Well,
but I knew now that what she was saying was right. But I had to learn it the hard way. Mom, you say a hard head make a soft head.
You tested the stove by sitting on it to see if it was hot? Why didn't you just touch it with your finger? Why are you sitting on a hot stove?
Well,
what's wrong with you?
Well, because I think it has something to do with that IQ test I had.
Oh, for God's sakes.
But they told me if my IQ was 1 point less, I'd be a banana. They were gonna give me a blood. They were gonna give me a blood test. I stayed up all night to study for it. Well,
Listen with this.
the lights on, but nobody home.
Gotcha. It's awfully dark in that cellar. I hear you. Yeah, I'm
You
there.
been knowing me long enough to know that Tony
I'm
Allen is
there.
crazy as hell.
I'm there. I've learned everything the hard way.
I got hit in the head with. How many times I got hit in the head with that metal chair? But
So
I'm
Tony,
gonna tell you something, Farrell. I'm gonna tell you something, Farrell.
Yeah.
Wrestling have not affected me. Wrestling have not affected me. Wrestling have not affected me.
Tony,
We had
lots
no clue
happened.
before this interview, but thank you for
Hey,
clearing that up,
y'all
Tony.
got
We
any
had no
questions
clue
or
before
any
this,
subject
right,
you want
Mike?
this old grandpa to talk about? Hey, I got some good news.
What
My
is it?
grandson had just recently graduated from the police academy in Montgomery, Alabama. So my grandson is an officer of the law.
Congratulations,
I'm so
man.
proud of him. And, you know, I was worried that make sure I don't have any sons. I have one child, and she's a girl. She had her first child was another girl. The second child was another girl. And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna be the last man in my family." Then I had a grandson, and he grew up. He played football for Alabama, and now he's a member of the Montgomery Police Department. So I'm
Nice.
proud of him. He's my hero now. My grandson is my hero. But you all know me. My heroes in life are men and women of the police department that fight every day to keep us safe. Military soldiers, most definitely, that fight not only to keep America safe, but to keep the whole world safe. A lot of people say America should not be the police of the world. Well, if we retire from that job, somebody's going to pick up the slack. So I rather for America to be the police of the world than for Russia or China or some other country to be the police. I rather for us to police it. Another hero, man, is people that fight fire department. I mean, they run into a burning building while everybody else is running out. And just recently, because my wife is hospitalized, my heroes are people that work in the medical field because they do long, they do 12-hour shifts. 12-hour shift. And I sat there like them CNAs are the hardest working people I've seen in my life. They non-stop for 12 hours. Non-stop. They can't because you got the elderly people there that need constant attention. Sometimes my wife has to go to the bathroom and I have to get a sister to get her to the bathroom. And so I push the button so the CNA would come. Well, when I push my light, I look down the hallway, there may be about 10 more lights on. And you got 4 people that work her floor. You got 4 people taking care of 40 people. But they get the job done day in and day out without complaining. They try to make the elderly feel as comfortable and as best that they can. My wife is at St. Mary DuVille Hospital in Lewiston, Maine. So I got a lot of respect for our first responders and people that do things to help to keep my life happy and safe. And I got a lot of respect for you guys too, because y'all do something for guys like me, guys that been in the business. You know what y'all don't know, on July the 10th, 1975, July the 10th, 1975, in Anderson, South Carolina, Tony Atlas had his first match. Wow. And July the 10th of 2025 will be Tony Atlas' 50th year as a pro wrestler. I'm celebrating my 50th anniversary as a pro wrestler this year.
Wow.
And the only reason I was able to make it as full as I have is people like Monte The Pharaoh and Seth Turner, who this nice gentleman that went through this to set this interview up. And this is going to come as a shock to the whole world. Even though we left out on bad terms, I have to say it, and he helped me a lot with his program. He had a good program, and that was Dan Morella. Even though it didn't end good, but when you look at the good compared to the bad, there was more good with me and Dan than bad. And that's what I want to say on that. And believe it or not, even though things was really, really bad at one time, I miss him. And I wish that there was some way that we could have made up before his passing. You know, sometimes I was challenged in a way, by the way I handle it, and he was challenged in the way he handled it. But my wife told me the reason why we both act so childishly. Men never grow up. Our toys just get more expensive. So sometimes we have to not let our ego get in the way of things. My ego got in the way of my response to Dad, and Dad's ego got in the way with his response to me. So Dad is not the bad guy. I'm not the bad guy. We were two adults that took the wrong methods to solve a problem. There are many ways to solve a problem. Unfortunately for me and Dad Morella, neither one of us took care of the problem the way he should have took care of it. You know, sometimes I have disagreement with Monte. But Monte is a very good guy, he's a very cool guy, and he was able to convert things to me where I don't go stupid on him. So I appreciate you guys because you guys, your program do a lot to keep us guys knowing, good. So what y'all doing for me right now, I consider it as a favor. Because you don't have to do it, but you do it that way because you got love for the business and you got love for the wrestlers. So my hat's off to Monte and the Pharaoh. And the only thing that makes me sad right now is that Pharaoh ended up getting married. He's not single no more. And I was going to have a sex change and see if he found me to be attractive.
Tony, when did you become nauseatingly liberal? What do you want to do to me? What is wrong with you? You're a man. Wait, no, hold on a second. You're a man of the good book. It's bad enough that you like feet. You leave me out of your perverted attic. Oh my God, sick man, sick man. My God, Mike, this is awful. One of my childhood heroes needs serious help. What is going on here?
Jimmy, these wrestlers love you. These wrestlers love you, dude. They love you.
He's got me turning into Matilda Gorilla. What is going on here?
Tony.
All right,
let me.
How you got? I mean, how can I help myself?
You like me when I had short hair. You're weird. You're weird. You're definitely freaking me out. What is going on here? I still love him though.
Brother, hey, man, y'all gotta answer this serious question before I go cuckoo on you. What do you want to ask me, brother?
Too late. Mike, help me out. Take it away, please.
Tony, so we got a lot to talk about. It's been a while. So talk to me. You are now having your own episode and well-deserved Dark Side of the Ring, season 6. How did that come about?
Well, what they did, they came up to Auburn, Maine, where I live, and they said, Tony, we had used you to talk about other people, and our people decide that they think it's a great idea if we do something on your life, your ups and downs and back up again. They thought it was it'd be very educational for the people, for someone like me that started off with absolutely nothing. There's a poor kid from the hills of Virginia. They call us hillbillies because we live in the hills. I was raised in the Allegheny Mountains, born in Clifton Forge, Virginia, raised up in Lomo, Virginia. Lomo had one store, it was a commissary that was owned by the North and Western Railroad. And then I was lucky, my mother couldn't find work. uh, in these small rural area. So she moved to the city, which was Roanoke, Virginia. And in Roanoke, Virginia, I was able to attend high school, get involved with the YMCA, police athletic lab, got involved with sports, got involved with doing art, and because they had so much to offer, so many opportunities in Roanoke that they didn't have in Lowmore or Clifton Four. And I was blessed and very lucky to meet Sandy Scott at the YMCA that took me to meet his brother, Doris Scott, with Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Introduced me to the Crockett, and they made me a professional wrestler. And I was never the most educated or smart entrepreneur when it comes to business. I'm still not good at business. I never was. It's not my thing. In the gym, I'm king. Even now, young kids can't keep up with me in the gym. Even now, I burn them out in that gym because they take too damn long to do what they got to do. They only take a 1 minute break, or no matter what I'm doing. I rest 1 minute, sometimes 30 seconds. If you're in the gym for 1 hour, if you're there for more than an hour, you ain't working out. Nobody can work out for an hour if you're working out. They do something, they rest 10 minutes. They do something, they rest 5 minutes. I do something, I do what's cool now, I do superset. I would do sometimes 3 exercises at once. I would do a set of benches, a set of a rear lateral, and a set of dumbbell shrubs, all at once. And then I rest for 1 minute and do the 3 exercises again. When I do my abs, I do a set of setup, set of leg lift, and some side bends, all at once. And then I rest. So I try to be in and out of the gym within an hour. If you don't sweat in the gym, you ain't doing nothing. And a lot of people come there, they don't put no effort to what they do. They don't put the heart and soul into it. I tell some of my students, I said, what made Tom Brady such a great quarterback? He's not the most athletic. He's not the most athletic.
Bring him up for.
Well, he's not the most athletic, as you can see. But what Brady does, he had great focus. He never take his man out of the game. He's focused on, he knows where everybody is at all times. Tom Brady never celebrates until the season is over.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a laser beam on what he do. You watch a lot of football players, they could be 20 points behind, make one good play, and they want to, and then all of a sudden they're on the dance floor. They start boogalooing, dancing around.
Go back to boogalooing.
Go back to boogalooing instead of focusing on the game. Brady didn't do that. At one time in my life, I lost focus on what I want to do and where I want to go. But I'm the captain of my own ship. I have nobody to blame for my downfall in life but myself. But I'm happy with where I'm at, because even though I didn't get the wealth that I would have liked to get, I came out of it with a lot of knowledge that I could pass on to others in order not to. In fact, believe it or not, Stephanie McMahon had called me to the office back in the early 2000s to talk to the younger people. In fact, that what happened. I got in that altercation with CM Punk. My job was to tell other people what they should do so they don't end up like me. I go to school, I tell kids what they should do so they don't end up like me. I wrestle Hulk Hogan. Every time I wrestle Hogan, I'm the only guy Hulk Hogan never beat. How come Hulk Hogan is here and I'm here? And I went over every time I beat him. Every time we wrestle, walk in the ring, they put me over Hogan. So at that time, they see me as bigger than Hogan. But how did Hogan get above me? Well, I tell you why. Hogan did all the right things, and I did all the wrong things. And that's what happened. I got nobody to blame. I'm not unhappy about it because I'm having more fun now, believe it or not. I met people like Monte The Pharaoh. I was able to help a lot of kids, help a lot of veterans. I'm able to do a lot of work that don't have a lot of money involved in, but the gratification when you see a young kid's face that come up to you and say this to you, Tony, I was going to quit school and started working for the game selling dope. But after I talked to you, I'm going to finish my school. And the kid told me this not too long. And I just got my commercial driving license. I'm going to be driving the school bus. But at first, this kid was thinking about being a gangbanger. Because nobody, but I told y'all this 1,000 times, 75% of black kids grow up without a father. 75%. Black on black crime is a high crime rate in America. The reason is because it's a breakdown in the family. I'm one of them kids. And y'all hear me say this. I had one father in my life. And that father was George Scott, the booker of the booker of the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. He was like a father to me. In his later years, I used to call him just to make check on him. His wife would do this. George, your son on the phone. And he said, oh, is that Tony? And he got a son. So why you call my name? Because he knew that I need the guidance, even though I was older than, later in my years, I was in my 20s, strong as an ox, but he knew that there was a void there. I never had a father. And when kids grow up without that other parent, there's always that void that they're going to always try to fill. When George Scott filled that void for me, and I will always be grateful to George and Sandy Scott. They used to call him the Flying Scotsman. Now, George Scott was born in Scotland. Sandy, his brother, was born in Canada. You see, because Sandy was younger than George. But they were my first father figure that I've had. But if it hadn't been for them two guys, I'd probably end up in penitentiary or something.
Wow.
So I was always lucky to meet good people like you and Martin. Because y'all are good people. Y'all helped a lot of wrestlers in more ways than you could shake a stick at.
Tony, when you look back on your career, do you consider the impact that you have left? You were, in many ways, the beginning of the spark for the possibilities of a black athlete to make it in professional wrestling, to win a championship. Obviously, you and Rocky Johnson. Do you ever reflect upon the positive impact in a very negative world? That is a huge thing that you accomplished back in those days. Do you ever think about the doors you opened for the black athlete in professional wrestling that we get to enjoy today?
Well, here's the thing about wrestling. Tommy Wildfire Rich told me all about wrestling in 1976. I was talking to Tommy Rich. I can't remember what the conversation about, but I remember what Tommy told me. Tommy Rich told me this. You not black, you Tony Atlas. Dusty Rhodes was the greatest black wrestler. Dusty Rhodes and Sputnik Monroe was the greatest black wrestler I ever known. To Dusty Rhodes, everybody loved Dusty. In the world of wrestling, see, wrestlers to the people are like live comic book characters. Mm-hmm. The wrestling fan don't see us as black. They don't see us as white. They don't see us as Indian. They just see Tony Atlas. They just see Hulk Hogan. They just see Rufus R. Jones. We like comic book characters to people. And so your color never was important in wrestling. And people don't care. They never had. They just like wrestling. And so if you somebody that could connect if you can connect with the fans, they love you. They have never been a black wrestler in this business that drew more black fans than America Dream Dusty Rhodes. Never had.
Wow. That's
That's
ironic.
why he did the Boogaloo.
Yeah, he's
Dusty
got a
Rhodes-
point, Mike.
Oh, yeah, but I remember the first time I
point.
noticed was in 1976.
Yeah.
I just went to Georgia. I was under the hood at Black Anthony. And George Scott sent me down there to get some experience. He wanted me to wear a hood, but people don't know what I want. So when I get some experience, he had plans to do things with me, but he wanted to get me to training first. They didn't have training schools, a lot of training school there. So a lot of it was on the job training. So
Wow.
when I met Dusty Rhodes, the lady came one day, this black lady. She had a big old thing of fried chicken, potato salad, biscuits and all that stuff. I said, oh, I told Tommy Rick, I said, look, that was my fans. They brought me some food. Tommy said, oh, yeah, we're going to have some chicken, brother. I'm standing there, I hold my arms out like this. He walked by me. Oh, what the hell? You went to Dusty. The chicken was for Dusty. Black people love Dusty. When I was in Kansas City, Missouri, there was a guy called Sputnik Monroe. That's the guy that Ric Flair intimidate. I mean, how do you say when you
imitated?
Imitate, yeah.
There you go.
Cadillac down the ring, man. That was Sputnik. I said, where can I get some soul food off the Sputnik? Where can I get some black poontang, sex off the Sputnik?
Congratulations.
I wrestled Sputnik Monroe. The crowd was 70% black. I walk out, they boo the hell out of me. Sputnik came out to cheer them. They loved him. They loved Sputnik Monroe. Another guy, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't care what color you are, you love Steve Austin. Undertaker. Love Undertaker.
Yeah.
There's certain people got certain charisma that go across the board. And in wrestling, color has never been important. So being a black wrestler, it may matter to certain people, but to the wrestling fan, it don't matter. You can be purple and they still like you. You can be a midget, you can be a jank. It don't matter. And that's the wonderful thing about wrestling. Wrestling, not only athlete, but wrestling broke the color barrier. Bruno Sammartino. Tell me who don't like Bruno?
Right.
There was this big, strong Italian from Italy, immigrant from Italy, was loved all over the world. Pedro Morales, people love him. Johnny Rod, people love him. SD Special Delivery Jones, maybe won maybe 5 matches his whole life. Who do not like SD? See, color in wrestling is not important.
SD. We love SD. Don't you pick on SD's one-loss record. That's brutal, Tony. It might be true, but it's brutal.
There is 2 things where color don't matter nowhere in the world. Sports and music.
Right.
Michael Jackson had just as many white fans, and he did black fans.
Jimi Hendrix. Hello.
Jimmy,
Hello.
Bruce Springsteen. Who don't like Bruce Springsteen?
I don't like Bruce Springsteen. So
you want him? There's something wrong with you.
No, wait, now hold on. I like aspects. I like some songs from Bruce, but in general, I think Bruce is incredibly overrated. Okay, kill me now.
Well,
he's great.
I'll tell you.
I just don't think he's that great. How's that?
Well, I gotta go along with you a little bit on that because sometimes I like to sing,
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't get in the music business because I didn't want to put them other guys out of work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tony Atlas sings The River. Oh boy.
Tony, let me ask you this: the late Shad Gaspard had a lot of good things to say about you.
Because I turned that loud, I was getting a lightning bolt going to hit me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
Shad Gaspard had a lot of good things to say about you. He said that you had a lot of discussions with him about being a black athlete in pro wrestling, and he quoted you as saying, as a black wrestler, you have to work twice as hard, even though you may have all the talent in the world.
My mom told me that.
So what was your experience with Shad, and did you take him under your wing?
But time changed. See, back in the olden days, there was a thing. What I was trying to explain to Shaq was back in my time, it was at the beginning of desegregation. And a lot of people were a little bit nervous about desegregating the country. I mean, they had a white drinking fountain. They had the black fountain. They had black schools, white schools, black colleges. So we were divided by race and religion. Like if you was Catholic, you couldn't hang out with no Protestant. And if you were Protestant, you could not hang out with no Catholic. So it wasn't just a race thing. It was a separation between race and religion. So there was a thing that blacks had to go through then to prove that the decision that America made about having blacks to be involved in what politics, business, and everything else, there was a tribe of field. So it's like a woman, same thing. A woman had to really prove herself to show that she is just as good as a man. John Wayne made a statement one day, which he got criticized for later, but it was a true statement. He said, if black want to run this country, they have to prove that they could be responsible. Now, when you got guys that do things, like 75% of black kids grow up without a father, that's 75% of black males impregnate a woman and is irresponsible about the child. When you got guys hanging out on a corner and not working, that is able to work, and people see this, so they start thinking, wait a minute now, I voted for this man to have the same opportunity as me, but instead of he taking advantage of the opportunity, he's blown it. And so when you go into something, there was other blacks there before me that got the same opportunity, but mess it up. Now, if you ask Mark Henry this, I came to Mark Henry, I apologize to Mark Henry. I said, Mark, you are the first black person that Vince hired that didn't screw up. I told Mark Henry that. Because when you let somebody in your house, out of the goodness of your house, you want to give this person an opportunity. No matter if black, white, blue, or green, the color don't matter. You represent your race. So they say, hey, let's get some black wrestlers. We're the first black wrestler come and he go to screw up. So he give a reflection on it, and then you start thinking, well, should I bring another one? You know what I'm saying? And color got nothing to do with it. It's personality. My mother said, your manners and your behaviors will take you where money never can. So I did not, for years, I didn't want to be one of them wrestlers to prove to America that gave me a chance to be part of it. Because up until 1970, I was not part of it. You know, Little B. Johnson passed the Voting Bill Act in 1965. Well, we did good for a while, but now when you look at the crime and the rioting and all this stuff, and you see these young African-American kids out committing crime. Now, I can talk about the crime that they commit. You talk about, say the same thing I'm saying right now, you're racist. So when it's like that, when you see wrongdoing and they criticize the person that speaks against wrongdoing. Mm-hmm. And I was one of them people for years that did wrong And then when you call me on it, or you just jump on me because you black. No, I'm not. I'm calling on you because you're a screw up. But if you say that Tony Adams screw up, just because I'm black, I won't call you a racist. Because you're a white guy telling the black guy you screw up. But that same white guy, like Ole Anderson, he would tell a black guy he's a screw up. He would tell a white guy he's a screw up.
Right.
He would tell a Japanese, if you're a screw up, you're a screw up.
Equal opportunity.
Right, equal opportunity. So
Right.
I think they was expecting us as a race. That's why even though I'm a Republican, I got all the respect in the world for Obama because he represented us in an intelligent way. Martin Luther King represented us in an intelligent way. See, if you're going to fit into society, as Pedro Morello would say, you follow the river, baby. As Tony Gore used to tell me, Chief Day Strongbow used to tell me, don't rock the boat.
Speaking of rocking.
Right, I think most of the problem that was caused to my people is by my people.
Understood.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to put my people down or nothing like that. But somebody at some time, we all have to come to the truth of things. And the truth of things, if you're going to be a part of this country, you want to work hard, and you put God, work hard for God, country, and self. When you start talking about burning the flag, defunding the police, and all this goofy stuff, that makes people that fought for you to be free, people that died for you to be free, to be part of this American society, they feel even worse because they say, I fought for the civil rights for these people. I fought for them to have the right to vote. I fought for them to share a school with my kids. I fought for this. What are they giving back? So when I see, even when I talk to young kids now, when I see a young black kid that trying to make something of themselves, not even black or white kid, any American kid that try to do something for themselves, try to fit into society and stay on the floor, I got the utmost respect for that kid. It ain't about color. It's about personality. If you treat people the way you want to be treated, I've been all over the world. And everywhere I went, people treated me nice. Why? I do that to them. But if I come to Monte and treat him like a freaking jerk, Monte gonna say, I don't want nothing to do with Tony. If I go to you and insult you and treat you like a piece of dirt and you try to help me, you ain't gonna want nothing to do with me. I can be purple. The color don't matter. It's the personality.
That's interesting that you say personality. Cult of personality, CM Punk, has had a very interesting career. He's somebody who has definitely always walked his own path and what he believes in. I wanted to ask you, you brought up the confrontation that you had with Mr. Brooks. I'll do a Monty and call him Phil Brooks for a second, but I love CM Punk personally. I'm a huge fan of his. His return has been very impressive when you realize that he still has it after all these years. Even when he was away, they never stopped chanting his name. Do you have any animosity towards Punk today? Or
I love him.
Go on.
John Morrison, Mark Henry, and CM Punk was my mentor. See, I left the business for a while, the big leagues. Vince, when he put me in the Hall of Fame, he sent me to Ohio Valley. That was the first training school for the movie to Florida. And they want me to talk to the wrestler. So I would sit and watch the matches and everything. And I say, these kids, they don't know what to do. Nothing they do is believable. Because my job in old days was to make people believe that what I was doing was for real. It was our job to make people believe that what we did doing was for real. It was a kayfabe, as we used to call it. So I watched the matches, and I said, that y'all doing it wrong. I said, nobody gonna believe in what you're doing. CM Punk say, Tony, what you did was good, but it don't work in today's society. That's why I tell you what, you come on down here, I'll whoop your ass, and blah, 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 blah. For me, here we got into a change of word. Well, he's a professional guy, and he got respect for us old timers. So instead of he coming out the ring, jumping on me, he kind of ignored me and kind of blew over. Well, later, Vince called me to manage Mark Henry. So I sat and I watched the matches. I watched the experience of the people. I saw CM Punk walking down the hallway. So I walked up to Punk. I said, look, I'm sorry. You was right. See, I figure because I've been in the business longer than him, I figured I knew more than him. But what I didn't know, the wrestling business didn't exist no more. It was sports entertainment. People want to be entertained. They could care less about believing what they see is real. ECW proved that. Now you tell me anybody in their right mind believes that a 300-pound man like Mick Foley could take a baseball bat, wrap it in barbed wire, and beat you with it and not kill you.
Oh, no, we got to come back for a rematch. There's got to be a rematch. What are you talking about?
In my day, the promoter would fire you for that. You know, you sparked up the people. If you did, if that was for real, you kill them. When they started doing all the crazy stuff, it was when Jimmy Slipper jumped off the top rope on somebody at 275. What did they do with the opponent? They brought out the stretcher. Remember?
Right.
Because nobody in them days would believe that a 270-pound man could come 7 feet out there and smash you into the ring and you get up.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was the president of the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Albany, Georgia. I was telling himself, the International Hall of Fame. I said, I got fired from getting up on the top rope and pushing the guy in the head 10 times. Old Anderson said, how big are your arms? I said, about 20-something inches. How about you bench press? Over 500. He said, who in a right freaking man gonna be than a guy with 20-something inch arms, bench press at 500, will punch another man in the face 10 times and not even leave a scratch? He said, either you got the weakest punch in professional wrestling, or you're the toughest SOB walking the face of the earth. He said, if you ever do that again, I'm gonna fire you. Because it was all about the kayfabe. We wanted people to believe that what we did was for real. But then the business changed and went to what they call sports entertainment. There is no such thing as wrestling no more. Vince McMahon told the world that Ted Turner lost because Ted Turner was in the wrestling business. I won because I'm in the entertainment business. People don't care if it's real or fake. They just want to be entertained.
Tony,
so that was the Earl of what we call the kayfabe Earl, you know.
Tony, speaking about Vince McMahon, right? You've been around Vince McMahon for decades and seen him navigate all kinds of controversies in your career. With the recent allegations and the lawsuit involving Janelle Grant, what are your thoughts on this deal? We haven't spoken on this at all.
Well, because it's none of my damn business. With all this,
feeling safe, huh, Tony?
In my day, for me to say anything about Vince, okay, is the pot calling the kettle black. If your house is completely clean, you can talk on someone else. What Vince did is Vince did it. I got a lot of respect for Vince. Vince, as much as I screwed up, you know, I was fired and hired by Vince more times than any wrestler he ever had.
Yeah, you like Billy and George Steinbrenner, huh? Billy Martin and George Steinbrenner? Something like that? Is it something like that? Was it something like that?
No, I have absolutely nothing bad to say about this. What I think happened, I'm not sure. People always looking for a way to get money from those that got money.
Of course.
They do that.
That's
if
true.
you became a millionaire today, Pharaoh, somebody want to try to find somebody going to try and find some type of way of getting from that money.
I'm sure.
And I think the thing with Vince is about, I don't know what's going on. It's none of my business. But I think this whole thing with him and them women is all about the dog.
Can I ask you this?
He's a millionaire. He's a millionaire, so they're going to go after him for stupid stuff. I mean, why we got to know what he's doing in his bedroom? You know?
At
Why
the
is
end
that
of the
so
day,
important to us?
at the end of the day, and I know this is the stance of Mike and myself on the show as far as Vince goes, until the man is actually finally convicted of something, to me, it's just
I
like you
don't
said,
think,
a lot
I
of,
don't even think people should be talking about that. Because most of the people that talk
Right.
about this and they're worse things.
right.
You know what, Pharaoh? You told to a guy that give women's money to step on his face.
Yeah, well, you're a little weird, but that's a whole nother story. What is it with feet,
In
by
the
the way?
wrestling business, in
How
the
did this
wrestling
start? Did
business,
it start with your tennis sneakers? Because I still
hey,
can't get that.
Pharaoh,
What this foot
Pharaoh,
thing?
when I first started in the wrestling business, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
If you was not weird or strange, you was in the wrong business. They feel like wrestling came from the circus. So the weirder you are, the more strange you are.
Yeah.
People pay
Yeah.
money to see a big, hairy, bald-headed guy chew the turnbuckle.
Mm.
They pay for weirdness.
How
Out of the
about
ordinary, bigger than
how
life.
how about this for weirdness on the Netflix documentary? The subject of Stephanie obviously comes up, and you were saying that she was just as ruthless as Vince, but Shane was soft. Any chance you can elaborate on that? I'm trying. We've
Well, you
always been
see,
fascinated with the McMahon family.
Shane got into the ring. Once you get into the ring, that's why Vince Sr. never wanted Vince Jr. into it. Because there's a difference in the way wrestlers think compared to how a promoter thinks. You know, a wrestler think about the glory and the cheering of the crowd. The promoter think about putting asses on the seat at business. So he wanted Shane, as you know, liked being a wrestler. He got into martial arts. He's the toughest SOB, probably the toughest guy in the WWE, believe it or not. You know, I put my money on Shane in a real fight against just about anybody in the WWE. He's a very, very rough kid. But he got a liking for the boy. Stephanie, all business. She's a businesswoman. She's business. She's about business. She's just like her dad. It's all about business. And that's why she's the one there instead of Shane. He's not, he's more of a jock like me. You know, he's not all that, he's a businessman, but not like Stephanie. Stephanie is a chip off the old block.
Do you think
And that's why I say that.
Do you think that Shane resents that relationship that
No.
should have been his spot?
No.
Really?
No. He's
Tell
a
me why.
McMahon. Because he's a McMahon.
He just deals with it.
He's a McMahon. That's all. He's good. He's good with it. He's good with it. There's no rift between that family.
Okay.
That's a strong family. There's no rift with them. They just got different talents. That's all. My brother Charles tried to get in the wrestling business, but he didn't have, not bragging about myself, he didn't have the ability I had.
Tony, how about something like when Shane McMahon recently was seen with Tony Khan? What is that all about?
What is what now?
When Shane was recently seen with Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, that's WWE's prime competition, if there is such a thing, which I don't think there is, but that's the closest thing to
Who is
competition.
Tony Khan?
The owner of AEW, All Elite Wrestling. This is great. Go on. You've nenever heard of them? You're hammering home the fact that Mike and I can't stand them, but okay. Well, I mean, he was recently seen with the owner of AEW.
I mean, maybe she wants to.
So, Tony, I got this question for you, and it's kind of a moral standard question. In fact, you're with Seth Turner from the International Hall of Fame. So Seth I was telling him today what a great job he's done with that Hall of Fame, and well-deserved. Come on in. So,
yeah.
So Seth, how?
Here you come. I'm minding my business.
How are you, man?
Good.
So we had a really interesting conversation, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think it's worth speaking about. So and Seth, and we had a good discussion. So I'd like to hear from both of you. So Tony, you've seen a lot in the wrestling business, right?
Yes.
You've seen it all, right? You're an icon, but you've seen the real good of it and you've seen the bad of it. Seth and I got in a conversation about Rita Chariton, right, who was the first female referee in pro wrestling, which in itself is an incredible feat and will never be taken away from her. Along the line, Rita said that Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon, lack of a better term, raped her, right? But did not want to have it reported. This show in particular, Jimmy and I, did not have the disagreement that this could have took place, but we did not agree with the way it was handled. One being Mario Mancini, who was a very close friend of Rita. And this is a moral question for both of you. And please, if you disagree, we'd like to hear your end. She informed Mario not to tell anybody about this said rape. And it went away for a very long time. And as we just discussed, Vince McMahon's been accused of rape, sexual misconduct with Janelle Grant. That still seems to be in court. Our problem is, why speak about it, Mario Mancini, now when you didn't speak about it when it really mattered? And I'm asking both of you, I'm not trying to put you on a spot, Seth. I know you're a very important position, and I'm not trying to hang you out there, but I do think it's a moral question that should be answered. And Tony, obviously, you've been around it, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. So it's all you guys. Go ahead.
Well, you know, the reason that I got with you and talked about my foot fetish, because in today's time, when something happens, everybody have a say-so to it. Kind of like the Bruiser Brody thing. There's people that was talking about the Bruiser Brody that wasn't important. I was talking to Seth about that earlier today. Because once the camera is on and the pocketbook open, everybody try to cash in on it. You know, even if they don't know nothing about it. You know, I think that if there's something, if you really felt that something was wrong, you should speak on it now. But now that it's on television and it's a way of making money, or to like, for example, kind of like Bill said, there's two types of wrestlers: those that build themselves up on their own merits, and there's those that build themselves up by pulling somebody else down. And they're the only two wrestlers in the world: those that build themselves up on their own merits, and then those that build themselves up by putting somebody else down. My mom said, if you don't have nothing good to say about nobody, say nothing at all. When the story hit, you probably got phone calls from out of nowhere. Just like when the Bruiser Brody death. Look at all the people running around talking about Bruiser Brody death. Wasn't even there. But they all had a say-so. You know, Manny Fernando's talking all type of crap about it. He was in Japan, South Africa. You even have Ric Flair talking about the Brody incident. So you think that this thing with Vince going to be any different? See, they know they're never going to work there again, but they said, "Oh, I get on the Monte The Pharaoh, so it's going to make me popular." A lot of people will try to build themselves off the misery of others.
Well, what I was thinking, by the way, Sarah was nice to get an opportunity to have a conversation.
Seth, real quick, can I get you? There you go.
I don't speak as loud as Tony does.
And you're not as good looking either.
Yeah, that's not what. I'll leave it alone. So Pharaoh, I was saying it was a pleasure to get a chance to speak to you. And Monty, we did have a conversation about this on the phone, and what I would say in regards to anything that relates to something that could be trauma-inducing for another person, and a female, which is something that I don't walk in that person's skin, so I don't say lightly any conversation that relates to this. What I will do is speak about Rita Chatterton, that I know from the time I was about 8 years old. I was friends with her daughter and she drive me to go roller skating. And my first knowledge of her being involved in pro wrestling was when I was a small child, and I was in Rita's mother's house, and I had no idea she was training for wrestling. I was 8, 9 years old, and she walked in and had been just beat up by Fabulous Moolah. And so she sat on the couch, drained of her energy, and the welts were starting black and blue as she sat there. And this was specifically during the rock and wrestling era. And so it wasn't as though I was intimately familiar with Fabulous Moolah because she was having a fight with Wendy Richter, and it was leading up to this battle on MTV, which we watched religiously. And I was a wrestling fan from the time cable got hooked up in upstate New York. And the first match I got to see involved the Wild Samoans. And being a child in upstate New York where no one looked like Afa or Sika, and to find out Captain Lou actually was from upstate New York. And by the way, Captain Lou was fired and hired more times than you. So the difference is Captain Lou would get fired and he would just show up to work the next day. So with that, but back to those experiences as a child with it was well known in our neighborhood that Rita would have the British Bulldogs over, and there would be Andre the Giant would be in the neighborhood, and that wasn't an exaggeration. And so then I went, as I grew up and went away to college, I didn't, your paths didn't cross. There was no social media in that era. When you went your different ways, you went your different ways. And so what I would tell you is that I was the person who had reached out to Rita in the 2020s and said, hey, why don't you come on back and come to some of these conventions, come to some of these events and see what it's all about. And she was very resistant, didn't want anything to do with it. And with the help of her daughter, Tammy, we convinced her to come to one event. And as soon as she walked in, Tito Santana walked up to her and said, Rita, it's great to see you, and gave her a big hug. And then she walked along, and so did Bushwhacker Luke, and so did lots of other people. And so it was I think cathartic. I think it was therapeutic. So if you're asking, why things weren't talked about for a duration, please, maybe it was out of respect for the individuals that were involved in those alleged situations. And all I will tell you is that, again, my background goes back to that, growing up in good old Mechanicville, New York, where, that's where Rita came out of. And so the only reason she came back into the wrestling business was after that experience. And what I'll tell you guys, you just talked about Tony Khan, and I'll only speak about this because the other part of our conversation, Monty, and where it started, was I said, hey, Jim Cornette, I was just talking about that AEW had given a contract to Rita during this past few years. I can speak to it. Yes, I know it intimately, and I won't share all the details, but I was a guest down at Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Buffalo Bills when the other Josh Reed had 5 sacks against the Josh Reed who was the Buffalo Bills as their quarterback. So you can go do the math and find out what that was and what that was all about. But yeah, we were there. So there's crazy stuff. And when we get off the air, I'm going to talk to Tony about some Shane McMahon stuff, which will further reiterate why he's cool with whatever is going on. And all, so it's
Because Shane is not known for him. Shane is more into the martial arts than he is in wrestling. I mean, he works hard. He likes working out. He's really. I'm surprised that Shane didn't go into the UFC. I'm really shocked, but he's really into comeback.
I'm going to shift the dimension of the conversation and give you guys an idea that by having the museum in the arena, the MVP Arena in Albany, New York, the Knickerbocker Arena, then the Pepsi Arena, then the Times Union Center. But by being in the arena, the guys who are in the business, both at WWE and AEW, come through, and not just the wrestlers, but all of the people who work behind the scenes. we had a cool experience that relates to Shane McMahon because we always seem to run these same loops of Mick Foley's greatest matches. And so imagine we're in the museum during the day when WWE's in town and all of their technicians and people who might coordinate stunts and the ring manager, my buddy Nick Dawg, big shout out to Nick. And all of the people, the guys who work in the technical aspect, and they were talking about two wrestlers who just understood stunts at a level that anyone in the best of the best in Hollywood, they were better than, and they could just hit it the first time. Number one, Mick Foley, and number two, Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And
Right.
think about it. What did you see Shane jump off of? What have you seen him do? And he would just look at it, say, yep, I can do that, and then have the athletic ability to do it.
He's amazing.
All right, guys. So I want to hit you with something. I want to get you guys out of here because you guys got to be at the big event. I want you to get some rest. Seth, thank you for joining on the show. Go ahead, Seth.
You've got to ask how Tony Atlas first met Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, so Tony, why don't you answer that question? Seth just answered it before the Pharaoh's final question.
In 1987, I was tag team with Sweet Brown Sugar and Skip Young, and they had a bench press. The World Championship bench press championship was going to be in Denton, Texas, 1987. So I went to the contest. Well, this young kid come up to me and said, "We came here to see you. We all wrestling fans, and we wanted to see you because they at least told us advertisement that a professional wrestler was going to be in the contest." Well, I took a picture of him and everything. Never paid it any more attention. Then later on, Steve told me the story that him and his football buddy came down to watch me compete in the World Championship because they was all wrestling fans. And that's when I first met Steve. I didn't know who he was then. He was a kid. You know, he was a college kid. He played football in Denton, Texas.
And how much did you pay for it?
$650.
Wow.
But he thought he was not impressed with my lifting. He was more impressed with just meeting a professional wrestler. Then I didn't see him no more until I went to WCW, and Nick Foley bagged Dustin and bagged Bill Watt to do something with Stone Cold. They said, "Man, this guy could be good if y'all would find something for him to do." They never really pushed him. Then Vince got a hold of him, and you know the rest. Well, you know, most of the guys WCW had first. They had Hogan, they had Stone Cold, they had Cactus Jack, they had Ron Summer, they had all these great athletes. They didn't know what to do with them, you know, because they wanted to stick with the old school stuff. Down south, cowboys and Indians, pretty much. And the world have changed. But WCW did not. They tried to change it at the end with the story writing, but pretty much everything was still the same. The guys out with the cowboy boots and trying to do things the way. But like CM Punk, I got a lot of respect for Punk. A lot of respect. Because he was the one, that little run-in that me and him had taught me that what we did in 1970 don't mean a hill of me now.
Mm-hmm.
If not, kind of you watch the old movies. I mean, I like the old movies, but who want to see a John Wayne movie today?
I do.
Well, I never
watch
got.
the Quiet Man.
Yeah.
I want to sit Patrick.
Yeah.
Damn right I want to watch it. Then I want to
Yeah,
watch
but
the Son of Katie Elder, and then I want to watch
yeah, but see the kid.
No, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but see the kid. Yeah, but see the younger folks today, they rather watch what they watch now. The music. I mean, I like rhythm and blues. The guys now is all into rap. Who would ever think that rock and roll would be old school?
Yeah, it was supposed to never die. You know what? It
rock and
sounds
roll
like
is old school now.
it
Imagine that.
sounds like the Who lied. They said, you know, and Neil Young, rock and roll can never die. I guess they lied. Tony, final question. what is the most important match in the history of this business? Sorry. In the history of I just want your opinion. Now, I'm on record with Mike, and Mike agrees with me that it's Hogan Andre as far as
I'll tell you the most important match that I have ever seen as I've been in this business when Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik.
Iron Sheik.
Because
well, that was the birth. I can see that.
That is the fire.
Yeah, point of origin.
It started as a spark. It started as a spark, brother.
Yeah, it was great.
And it put wrestling above even with because of Hulk Hogan. Because of Hogan now, we could sell out arenas.
Yeah.
You know, Hogan took wrestling. Hogan took wrestling not from he got rid of spot shows. There was all Coliseum or stadium. From Hogan on. We didn't wrestle in high schools no more armories, no more small venues, everything that at that time. So the guys that is making a good living in wrestling right now, they owe the two people that did when these two people got together, they brought wrestling to the front, to the forefront. We are what we are now because of two people, Vince McMahon Jr. and Hulk Hogan. No matter how you slice it.
What would you say?
Hulk Hogan have done a lot. You talk to Coco Beware. When he beat up that guy, guess who got Coco his job back? Hulk Hogan. When things went bad for me, who you think went and talked to Vince for me? Hulk Hogan. Hogan had dedicated his whole life to making wrestling what it is now. To me, no matter who you talk about, Hulk Hogan is the greatest wrestler that this business ever seen because we all is making a living off of the sacrifice and the hard work of Hulk Hogan. I'll tell you a quick story because I know you got to go and Seth got to go and we got to get some sleep. I checked into a hotel one day, the limousine pulled up, and Hogan get on and just picked me up from the airport. You know, he didn't fly with us. He couldn't get to the airport. He missed flights because when he walked through the airport, there was so many around him, he couldn't make it to the gate. He couldn't get to the gate. I remember one time I had to go and pull people off of Hogan so he could catch his flight. That's how big Hogan was. So anyway, we started finding problems. We went to go check in the hotel. Hogan check in, hey, brother, I got some stuff to do with this. Where you going to be later? Maybe you come in the room, you know, have a couple of beers. And, you know, I don't get to talk to you much anymore because I'm always gone. So Hogan checked his room, went upstairs, put his bag down, left the hotel. I went wrestle, Hogan wrestled. I come back to the room, had a few beers, watched a little TV, went to sleep. The next morning, as I'm leaving to go to the airport, the Hogan room was open, the maid was in it. And this is what the maid told me. He ain't been here all night. He was working. Vince would have Hogan, while we were sleeping, Hogan was doing things. Vince ran Hogan 24/7. Hogan told me the only way he get rest is on the plane. Once he got off that plane, they put him to work. This guy put in 16 to 20-hour days to make this work. That's why Vince chose Hogan, because other wrestlers would have complained. He never complained. He did what he was told. He bust his ass. And I'll tell you something else about Hogan, too. He never changed. If you meet Hulk Hogan right now today, Hulk Hogan will treat you, he's humble. He's the most humble wrestler you ever want to meet in your life. He don't brag on himself. He don't see himself above anybody else. I just try to tease Hogan, like, hey, Hogan, did you this and you that? No, brother, you the man, brother. You the man, brother. He started putting me over. You know, I love Hogan. I'm making a living now because of Hogan. You making a living now because of Hogan. Without Hogan, wrestling would have died. Without Hogan,
Tony, can I ask you, did it hurt you to see him get booed at Monday Night Raw on Netflix?
Yes, broke my heart. And when they started accusing Hogan of being racist, that really got under my skin because I know he's not. We all get angry and say things. You know, I say things about white guys that I don't like, but that I have. I sure have. I call them names. If I don't like them, I'm call your name. But that don't mean I hate white people.
Yeah,
He
don't
was
feel
mad at
bad.
this guy.
Don't feel
He was
bad. He
mad
wants
at
to give
this
me a
guy.
sex change.
Huh?
I said, don't feel bad. He wants to give me a sex change. He definitely still picks on. You know, there's something wrong
But
with the
that's
guy.
not my fault. It's not my fault that God made you so beautiful.
Well, you know, I forgive you. It's divine, isn't it?
But anybody that calls themselves a wrestling fan, that
Yeah.
fans off Hogan, shame on you.
Yeah, I agree. We agree.
Shame
We
on
all
you.
agree. Yeah.
That man has got metal rods running through his back. That man put 16 to 20-hour days in to entertain his fans. That man, if you go up to him right now today, say, Hogan, can I get you on a show, brother? You want a picture too? He loves his fans. Hogan stands for the flag and kneel for God. He's a Christian. He believes in God. He believes in his country.
Fair enough.
He's a great American hero in the wrestling business. And anybody got anything bad to say about Hogan, shame on you. You don't know the man. I've been knowing Hogan since 1978. And he always treated me like a king. If I didn't have a room, Hogan would say, "Oh, brother, take my room. I get another one." He would do that. If I need a ride, he'd look, "Come on, brother, get in here with me." If I need something, if I went broke, how much you need, brother? Just recently, I did some artwork for, I did something for Monte. I did a drawing for Hogan to give to him. He signed a couple of prints for me, sent them back to me, just like that. He's a great, great American. And for them buttholes to boo him, every one of them should get an apology to Hogan. He did not deserve to be mistreated like that. That was shameful for people, for stuff they know nothing about. At a wrestling event. If somebody was mistreating my daughter, believe me, I'd be saying a hell of a lot more than what Hogan said.
Mike, that's
If somebody
47.
mistreat your child, what are you going to do? You ask any parent out there, if you see somebody trying to mislead and take advantage of your child, what are you going to do? Are you going to blame him because he's protecting his daughter? Shame on you.
And that's what you get from Hall of Famer Tony Atlas. Tony Atlas speaks
beer,
his mind.
But it's not as good as that good fucking wine.
Ah,
Tony Wild Farm said, "Hey, good brother, you gonna get yourself some of that wild fucking wine?"
He's doing Tommy.
I want to thank Tony Atlas for joining Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast. Seth Turner, also what an experience having you on. Great job with the Hall of Fame. You're keeping wrestling alive. And we'll see you guys at the big event. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Love you, brother.
Love you, man. I'll talk to you. Jimmy.
Yo.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Tony's always an experience, one way or the other.
What are your thoughts?
I agree 1,000% with him on the Hogan thing, obviously. Vince, he loves the guy. You know, I guess he's just speaking from his own experience about Vince. You know, we never got to ask him, did you notice anything, dark and seedy going on anywhere, any hints? But I don't even know if he would have touched it anyway, quite honestly.
Well, to be honest with you, I think, one thing about Tony, he calls it like he sees it.
Right.
And I got to give Seth Turner a lot of credit, right? Because that was a difficult question. He does have a professional relationship with Miss Charlton. I hope I'm saying it right. I think I'm saying it wrong. But
Chatterton?
Chatterton, thank you.
Yeah.
It's hard to answer a question when you have relationships with someone, right? Because, know, and I thought he answered it professionally. I thought Tony answered his thoughts professionally. I mean, that's what I love about the show, bro. We're talking about real stuff. I want to remind everybody you're watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Hit this QR code, right? Hit the like, subscribe, That's just for our YouTube channel. Also hit us up on our X channel, and also on Facebook Live, Twitch TV, and also our TikTok channel. And
That thing scared me, by the way, just now. When that thing popped up, like my eyes
why did
started
it
doing.
scare you?
My eyes started doing, because I was trying to follow all the little lines on the scan, and my eyes were doing circles. I was like, what the hell is this thing?
And we made a little artwork, Jimmy.
What is that?
This is the Monte The Pharaoh, Tony Atlas, Dark Side of the Ring inaugural 1 through 10 picture we made. Okay. So we're going to put that on our website, and if people want to get that, it's a great picture of Tony when he was in studio. I don't know what he's holding there. What is he holding?
Yeah, I can't make it out.
I don't know. I got to tell you, dude, I miss Tony. That was so good having him on.
Tony is a long-time friend of the show. Going way back, too.
And you know what? Well overdue for him, I think, and the fans wanted to see it or hear it. The Dan Marotti comments. I thought Tony had a lot of really good stuff to say. I'm just glad he was on the show, and I'm glad his wife is doing well, which is good.
Right.
His son, his grandson is a police officer. That's pretty effing cool, right?
Yeah, played for Alabama too. Don't forget that part.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. So, what do you think?
Pretty good school.
Before we go, what do you think about Seth Turner and reforming? I don't know the whole story behind it. I think I know most of it, but I could be wrong. So I'm wrong. Right. Yeah, as you know, I'm wrong often. Okay. But he, from what I understand, is he rebuilt the Hall of Fame that was up there. It was, from what I understood, it was ran by somebody else, and he took it over. I don't know if there was any weird stuff going on before he took it over. But how impressive do you feel it is to have a actual physical Hall of Fame?
Well, it just enhances the fact that it's ridiculous that WWE doesn't have one. That's what I think about. It's important to have a building that honors professional wrestling, and I can see why it would succeed in many different areas. There's multiple Hall of Fames across the country, if I'm not mistaken, right, Mike?
From what I understand, yeah. I think
there are. And some of them are even regional in their title, like, New England Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. There's all sorts of different ones. I think it's good. I think it's ridiculous that WWE doesn't have a building. Don't you think they should? I think they should.
I don't know the reason behind it, but I think.
Where would you put it? Because I would put it in New York City. I mean,
really? I would probably put it. I would probably put it in Cleveland, dude.
When you factor in that Vince in the end became the kingpin of professional wrestling, and where was his true home base? Madison Square Garden. That, to me, where was the birth of Hulkamania? Tony just said it. At Madison Square Garden. Where was the WrestleMania 1 ad, Mike? Where was it? So to me, the building should exist somewhere near Madison Square Garden. And I'm sure it would do enough business. And even if it wasn't a killer, super profitable place, which I can't imagine it not being in today's business landscape, the way WWE does things, why not have a beautiful building with a beautiful wing and sell your merchandise and have people, by the way, that would be a job. I know I sound like a nerd, especially at my age, but if I had a chance to be one of the people that ran that place, oh my God, sign me up.
Dude, whenever I go to the garden,
seriously,
listen to me on this. Whenever I go to the garden,
I'll be a tour guide. I'll take the tour guide deal and tell the stories. That works for me.
I go to those boxes at the garden. So when you go upstairs, right, they have all that memorabilia, whether it be the Knicks or the Rangers. Yeah. But they have a section with
Roddy Piper's boots.
Dude, when I see Piper's boots, every time I mark out. Every time.
It's great.
Well, look, dude, Seth has got a lot of good stuff in there, right? I think they're actually putting Trish Stratus in this year, which is a big deal, right? Trish is big time. You know what I mean?
I think that, of course, that's a big deal. It's Trish.
But then they also got LaGreca's pink robe.
What? Why would they? Not his slippers. Tony likes feet.
You got to put some shoes in there.
Dude, what was with Tony giving me a sex change? That was ridiculous.
Dude, to be honest with you, I've noticed a lot of these wrestlers are attracted to you.
Like me in the like Dink?
Bro, he's not just dude, the list is so long, it's incredible.
No, it's not.
Dink.
Don't get carried away.
Come on, dude. How about the that crazy animal girl? What was her name?
Oh, stop with that. That was scary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. And I think
Yeah.
Coco Beware had a little something for you.
What? Would he smack my head on the table? What do you mean
I think he was digging you. Anyway, to remind
was not
everybody, on
digging me, he was
tomorrow
hurting me.
we've got Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man in studio. This will be an in studio interview, and then right after that we've got Jana Kai, which I'm totally interested in, dude. You know I love the women, right? So I
Yes,
like
I do.
interviewing the women, right? So
Yes, I
it's
do.
good stuff. I really appreciate, again, Seth allowing us to speak to Tony. It's been a long time coming. Great show. A little late for both these two old men, right? But
Yeah, a little bit.
you know, you did a great job as always. Always glad to do it, and that's really it. And I'm a little tired. I'm a little tired at this point, bro. To be honest with you.
Yeah, right about now, like a Dubin, the Star Trek rerun would work, and then go to sleep.
I think I'm going to watch King of Queens. That's what
You're not going to watch the Abe Lincoln episode on Star Trek? What's wrong?
Is it on? If it's on, I'm there.
What, you can't just click on it on one of your streaming services?
Dude, I got to be honest with you. I'm tired of streaming. It's just too much work. All right. Anyway, Jimmy, send us out, my friend, please.
You've been watching a late night edition of Monte and the Pharaoh. And until next time, tomorrow, later.